Hello everyone, welcome back to my Sling TSI build log. Since July, I've made some progress on a couple different projects, and today I'll walk you through the progress so far on the electrical systems and the doors and the window/windshield installation. I actually rebuilt part of the battery cables using the number 2 gauge wire from the master contact to the shunt. This was because the wiring I built previously was not routed very well, and it was interfering with the shunt cover. So I kind of just rebuilt it and made sure where the cable on the shunt side goes under the shunt cover without interfering with the plastic covers. So after the wiring, I kind of just put on the rivets under the shunt cover and drill the holes and install the shunt cover. So that part was pretty easy. And after all the wirings are connected, I powered on the Avionics again, made sure everything was still able to get power and light on. And then I moved on to testing the Avionics and going through all the error messages. As I turned on the power for G3X and GNX 375 and G5 and everything else, the error on the G3X was mostly about calibration. So I was seeing magneto calibration issues and heading indicator not operational, and lots of missing data just because I was not the ECU hasn't been connected yet. So in my opinion, these are probably all expected. So I'm not spending too much time of fixing the G3X error messages just yet. And on the GNX 375 side, I was seeing 3 error messages initially after the power on. So that was the GPS signal, and there's one for GDU disconnected, external flight plan crossfield inoperational, and transponder failed message. So I think the GPS signal issue is just because I'm building this, the antenna and all the airplane is under a roof inside the hangar, so it's just not finding the satellites. So I don't think this is a huge concern right now. And for the transponder failure issue, I called Midwest panel builder folks, and they told me this is probably because the configuration wasn't complete. I was missing the tail number on the configuration. So I went into the GNX 375's configuration mode and putting my FAA reserved tail number. And then I think there's a button for something like generate ICAO code or based on the tail number or something like that. So I just did that and I restarted the navigator. Then the transponder error message was gone. So then the last remaining message is the GDU disconnected message. So for this one, this is interesting because I'm just not able to get rid of this no matter what I try. I did try to actually cross-field the flight plans from the GNX 375 side to G3X, and also from the G3X side to the 375 side. It seems to be working, so I'm not sure what to do with the GDU disconnected message at this point. If you are watching this video and you have some ideas for what I should try next, please feel to send me a message and help me understand what the cause is. Then moving on to the door structure, in particular the locks on the door. This is notoriously hard to understand from the build instruction. I've seen a lot of people asking questions on how to actually install the lock onto the door and how to install the latch structures correctly on the door. It's just, yeah, it also took me a lot of time to make sure these things are installed correctly. The thing is, since I'm working on a fiberglass component, I had to drill holes onto the canopy. So I was very scared that if I drill the wrong hole, it would be very difficult to fix. So I really measured tons of times before drilling any hole. But but eventually I got the lock installed, and it's kind of silly that the locks on both sides are not matched to the same key. So I actually had to use two different keys to open or lock the canopy doors on both sides. So I guess it is what. Another big project was installing the windows and the windshield. It's extremely dirty, dusty, and tedious work, but it is critical to get it right for safety and also just to make sure it looks pretty from the outside. So I started with the both from the pilot side and co-pilot side rear window, because they were the smallest ones. So I thought it's probably easiest to start. The rough process is just kind of first measure and draw lines around the window to kind of then use the line as a general guide to rough cut on the window, and then kind of just repeat the measure and cut and fine-tune process until the window fits into the canopy juggle kind of perfectly. And after that, we apply the Sika products, which is the activator, primer, and also the Sika 295 UV glue. Then I kind of just find ways to secure the window, press them on to the canopy as tightly as possible, and wait for a couple of days for it to cure. Then remove all that straps or cleat, things like that, and then just do a final round of cleanup. That's kind of the same process for every window, but in the process, I tried different tools. I started with just a Dremel with a little cutting disc. It worked, but it's slow and really, really dusty. So I later switched to a die grinder with a bigger cutting disc. It's the same dustiness, but it cuts stuff faster. So I feel like overall it gave me less exposure to the dirty, dusty stuff, and I guess make the progress less painful. And then so besides die grinders and the cutting disc, I also used sanding paper, sanding flat wheel to do large areas of sanding, and alcohol for cleaning up, and lots of tapes and vinyl tapes and blue painters 3M blue painters tape, and I think that's most of the tools that I use in this whole process. It's tedious and a lot of work. So after I did the rear window, I did the same process for the door windows. It turns out actually, I feel like the door windows were easier because I could actually remove the doors off the canopy and then just do the work on a table. So I didn't have to carry the window back and forth and fit onto the airplane. So and also after I do the window on the doors, I reinstalled the door back onto the airplane and torqued the bolts to the value, to the specified value. But I haven't installed the piston struts yet, so I think I will just do that next. After that, That was the last one, which was the windshield. I was dreading to do this part because it's a big piece, but turns out it wasn't too bad. After having go through the windows on the door and also the windows on the rear, it's the same process. Just cut and fine tune and then glue, and that's pretty much it. Besides the three big things, I also worked on a lot of small items. For example, I manufactured a little plate to cover the transponder hole. That this was the kind of the factory designed the transponder location. Since I moved the transponder antenna to a different location, so I just had to cover this old, cover the hole on the old location, and also installed the some small parts on the interior, such as the shut-off skin on the rear passenger row and a bunch of other small things. So, anyways, I think that's pretty much it. This wraps up today's update. So I think next up, I'll probably start working on the bleeding the brakes and hooking up all the hoses internally. I'm trying to close the center channel, hopefully soon. So yeah, thanks for watching the update, and see you next time.